and welcome to Tabletop Gaming. My name is Charlie and today I'm super excited because we're taking a first look at this, Trekking Through History. Now, you may be familiar with this from others in the trekking range, but this is our newest and newly on Kickstarter too. So we thought we'd get a copy, take a look at what's inside and give you sort of a first look, first idea of what it is that you might find. Now, as always, this comes with a disclaimer. This is just to give us an idea and is not a finished product. We've got a prototype or a pre-Kickstarter copy, which means whilst I believe everything in here is perfectly playable and absolutely fine, it is not in the sort of version that you would see at retail or post-Kickstarter. For example, we're missing things like box inserts. They've already told us some of the contrast and some of the text is going to change a little bit. So if there's anything you see in there that you're concerned about, let us know in the comments, but the likelihood is because this is an early copy, these changes might already be in place by the time they reach you. So nothing too much to worry about, but be aware, of course, it's just a fun copy. But of course, there's plenty here to get a look at, so we will do that straight away. So Trekking Through History is a game of being sort of a time tourist, I think is the best way of putting it. So no TARDIS necessary. We have got Wayback Tours, and they're going to take us on a 3-day trip through history to significant events that are really cool and fun to see. Now, what that means is that you're going to be picking certain events, but try and do so in order, try and do so with the maximum benefit, stick to an itinerary, and therefore gain the most points because it's a competitive game. So you're looking at it being for 2 to 4 players, sort of ages 10 and over, and takes around sort of 30 to 60 minutes to play, depending on how much you race through time. Now, I have got 2 copies of the instructions, but they are effectively the same, and these are quite nicely very, very straightforward. So again, prototype copies, so these will be probably different paper and maybe have some text changes, so don't panic too much, but everything you need to pick up the game is available in there and it's lovely and straightforward. More of it is pictures than anything else, so a very quick and easy one to pick up. Now, nicely on this, they've also got a history consultant, so we know that what we're talking about is as close to accurate as it can be for a game of this nature. So I'm going to show you the component in sort of a guiding order that should give you an idea of how it plays as well. But equally, the component I'm most excited about is this rather delightful game mat that has our scoring and our how we're going to place our cards included on it. So you'll see we've got space for Ancestry Cards and for our deck, and then this at the top will give us our scoring with some additional help on the side as well. Now this is central, this is for everyone to be using, so that score track you'll place your markers on, which are in fact right here, ones for each colours, and over the 3 days you're going to just try and build up as much points as possible by seeing the cool things, seeing them in order and seeing what's happening. So let's do the cards first so you can see what it is that you're trying to do. So the game gives us a couple of different types of cards. Some of them are just turn reference cards, which is quite nice to make things easy to know what you can do, but the majority of them are going to be our time travel cards. So for 3 days we have 3 different sets of cards, and they all have a date and an event on them, as well as some other bits which I'll come on to in a moment. So for example, our first one in the first column is going to be Hunt Bison with an Hunt Bison. Now with that, we on the back have got some more information about what that means in context, what that's talking about, and sort of just learn a little bit more about it. As we carry on through the deck, there are other things that we might want to see. So we might travel the Silk Road with Marco Polo in 1271, with again that information on the back and a nice illustration too. For example, in our second deck, you'll see the little number at the top there, I can go and excavate King Tut's tomb. I would totally do that, like curse aside, like staying far enough back in a hazmat suit. Do curses go with hazmat suits? I don't know. I'd totally be fascinated. So it's just talking about on the back that British archaeologist Howard Carter found the Boy King's resting place. We all know that story far too well from school, but plenty to do. We can work the Gutenberg press. That would be very cool, especially for people that work in a magazine such as us. That's like the start of our industry properly. Strike it rich in the gold rush. That would be nice. See if you're taller than Napoleon Bonaparte. Who knows? At my height, probably not. Talk computers with the Countess of Lovelace. There's plenty to do and to learn and sort of find, oh, what's that? Flip it over, great, you've got your answer. One thing that's worth noting is the art style is quite nice. It's not too history-ish. It's still got some quirkiness. It's a nice illustration as opposed to attempting to be overly accurate, which means we get these beautiful colours that come out in the cover as well across these two. So you can see how nicely they fit that sort of colour theming, colour palette, but either way, it's very nice. Now, with that, we are going to look at a couple of other things on there, because as you go through, as this deck is laid out, as they're overturned and you decide where it is that you're going to go next, there's a couple of things to consider, namely the way that you earn points and the way that your turn continues. So let's take a look at one of these, for example. So if we go back to hunting bison, you will see that in this bit at the bottom, we've got a number. So this is telling us it's going to take 2 hours off of our clock in order to visit this event. Now, the other thing to consider also is this. This is what we will gain from visiting the event by being on that specific itinerary and what we'll find. So we all know there's only so many hours in the day, and that is how your day by day, so over your 3 days, you will know how much you can do based on what you've got in here. So this one is only 2, but if we decide to sail the globe, we are looking at 4 hours worth of time, which means we're going to be able to do less than if we were doing the shorter ones. Each player will place their token on here. Now, those tokens in themselves, I love how they've been made. They are short little stopwatches, and this is how you're going to go through. So you see how those are printed? Very nicely done and in different colours. So you'll start, of course, at your beginning point, and then as you do your 2 hours, so 1 2 hours there, and then we do 4 hours, we go all the way round, and then we keep adding to it. At some point, we're going to come to the top of the clock. We've done our 12 hours, we need to nap. It's the end of the round. You do get extra points for landing directly on the 12, but by the by, you'll get points as you go round. So that's how you're going to constrict what it is that you're doing. So you need, when you're picking up cards, you need to try and make sure that you're picking up ones that fit within the timescale of what you've got to be able to do things, and that give you the maximum in return for doing so. So is it worth picking up more ones that are shorter periods or take less time in order to be able to pick up more cards? Because if you're able to pick up cards in a certain order, you'll get more points. Because as you select a card, that becomes part of your timeline. You're then going to be selecting your next card, and it will need to be later. So trying to keep these in chronological order as much as possible. And when you can't, or if you're not going to, you end that timeline and you start a new one. Longer timelines, more points. But is it worth it to get that specific card? Because the other thing we showed you was what you can collect from it. Now, delightfully, these are given in tokens, and they look rather wonderful. Now, these are game trays holders. I adore these. I think game trays are great, but I don't know if the final version will come with them, so just keep an eye on the Kickstarter for that, or whether they'll be an upgrade or not. But those little different things that you can pick up are available in those, and they go on your own personal scoring sheet. Now, these differ, which means people's goals are going to differ as well. So you can see that you'll get points for doing different things across the board. So more things you can fill in. Is it your first one that gets you the points, or the second one that gets you the points? Or do you hit certain thresholds sooner or differently on different ones? So this has more thresholds, but this has more points. You're going to be trying to fill in those with the cards that you're picking across the different types of things that you can gain. Sounds like a lot, right? But really, all you're doing is picking up resources as you go, try and stay mostly in an order, and pick up cool cards without going over the 12 hours you've got. The how you do it sounds like I'm talking a lot, and I probably am, but it is a very straightforward game to pick up, and as soon as you start playing, you'll go, oh, this makes perfect sense. I definitely want to go to ride the rocket with the father of railways because I need these things. So it is worth this time that it comes with. So it's lovely and straightforward. Now, once you have completed, you move on to your next day with everybody, and you move on to your next set of cards that is from each of these stacks. So we have day 2 and day 3, and track your scores. Now, of course, I mentioned about score tracking on the bottom here. So you'll keep those going. And of course, there are certain extra little niggly bits that are quite nice to add in. So we have Ancestry Cards. They give you different options, so you can choose either to pick one from the deck to add to your timeline, or you can grab an Ancestry card for the benefits that those bring, or you can get sort of extra crystals. We have nice little token holders for those. And what those will do is those will mean that you spend less hours in doing something. So you might want to save those up to use in a particular manner. Now, I have to say, there's a lot to like about the first impressions of this game. It's a very simple and easy one to pick up. It's pick a card, put it in order, hope that you do it right. And then after a while you'll start going, this is a better option than that. This is a better option than that one. I want to build the longest timeline. No, I want to get the most points. That sort of push and pull. I like that it's competitive. There is, it feels very peaceful. It feels like a very good family game, but with there actually being a winner at the end, which is quite nice. You're driven to work towards something. Add in the fact that even though this is a prototype, the components are actually really nice. The colour scheme is beautiful. I really like how they've matched all the artworks together and just made things make sense and match up as nicely as you would hope they would. It's got a nice thumbs up from me. I enjoy looking at this. I think they've done quite a stellar job, and especially to see it in such good shape this early is very nice. I, of course, would love to know where you would travel to if you were on Wayback Tours and you had the option. What year would you go to? What event would you try and see? Just because I think it's a really fun conversation to have. But importantly, if you would like to back this, there is a link in our description that you can go to just to check out what's going on and see if it's one for you. There's also links, of course, to ourselves and the things that we do, so you can find more from Tabletop Gaming. But I hope that you have enjoyed this. I look forward to meeting you in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.